Recently, I had a comment that was posted on one of my YouTube videos that it was kind of disappointed that I didn't do more videos. And the real reason is I really haven't had time. I probably will get back to them soon, but right now, uh, I've got other things in my life that uh, I'm more interested in. But I did come across the fact that I had made a lot of Facebook Live videos, and there was a lot of good information in them that some of it wasn't in the videos that I had currently listed. So what I decided to do was list these to my YouTube channel. And I hope you enjoy them. I hope you find more knowledge in them. And also, if you're not a subscriber, well, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you'll be notified. You select all. And if you like them, give them a big thumbs up. I hope you enjoy. What I'm going to be talking about today, and I want to do a disclaimer beforehand. I don't want to advertise for Diamond Pacific. If I really don't have a real good feelings about them and some dealings before as far as they build good equipment, but I just think that they ought to make it available directly to some of the clubs, to where they can buy direct instead of having to go through a dealer or something like that. But other than that, they build a good product. Now this is mine, and as you can see here, I have this is a small area. This got a real small footprint, and that's why I wanted to mention this and do a live feed in the group. This is 3 foot wide and 1.5 feet deep. This is actually my workbench when I travel. I put this in my toy hauler and fasten it to the floor, and this is what I use when I'm traveling. I can do everything I can do on my big machine. It's just not as quick, and I don't have quite as much room. It's a little tighter, so I do a little more changeover with it. Now, normally I don't run it this way. I run it more like this other side over here. I run just the two wheels because like I've talked about in some of the others, I use expandable drums and I use belts. So with the extra width, there's no way that these can go onto that shaft. but when talking about versatility, I want to talk about it all the way around. So we're going to, I went ahead and set this side up like it would be for most people to start out with. Now these wheels are basically the same color. Don't let that throw you off. I have recoated these with diamond dust. They're actually ones that you can get factory, which would be a 600, a 1200, and a 14,000. Now, some people run a 3,000 on the end. That's preference. I actually have a 50,000 wheel to fit this machine. So it depends on what material you're working with and what you would like to have. Now, this machine does have the magnifier, so you could check your fine scratch and stuff. Now, I have actually put a little post over here on the side to where I have one of the swing arm magnifying lights that I use here because I like it better, and so I just bolted me on one so it fits my needs. And that's what I recommend anytime you're setting up your equipment. Set it up so it meets your needs. Now, I had posted before on my feed about this magnifier. Now, I always swung this thing out of the way out behind. I just swung it out there. Well, one day we were out here in the shop, and my wife says, something's over there smoking. And I said, shouldn't be, nothing's on. And went over there, and it started melting my electric cord. So be aware, because when the sunlight comes up, I've got a nice view out here when I'm working, but when the sun comes up and it shines through there, it's going to act just like someone out trying to fry ants on an ant bed. It's going to do a job on it. So be aware of that. Now, if there's any questions, I am getting some comments. So if you have any questions as we go along, ask them. If I don't get them or don't get to them, I'll come back and I'll answer them afterwards. And for those of you that always wonder if it's going to be where you can watch it later, yes, it will be. So if you decide to tune out in the middle and you want to do it when you have more time, that's fine too. It's always going to be there. Okay. Now, what we're going to talk about is the versatility of this machine, and that's the only reason why I'm doing this, because it is such an all-around good machine for cabbing for a bunch of different ways. Now, it's only a 6-inch. I prefer my 8-inch, but there's attachments for this. Now, they have this attachment here. This is a flat lap. Now, this flat lap will screw right on the end of here. All you've got to do to use this, a slight modification, we'll take this pan here and we're going to change the direction of it. We're going to put our little splash shield over here. We screw this on here. Now this has a metal back, which it is metal all the way around, but it's got a metallic back to where you can take magnetic flat laps, and these just fit right on here, which you center them, you fit them on, and this kit comes with, you have little plastic adapters that, and what these do is your little spitters or fountains or whichever way you want to call it. Now I always use 2 of them, but you'd set them up in your water, and whenever it waters, it sprays the water up here on the side of your flat lap. So if you want to do the back of a cab, or if you're doing a flat face cab, you can work it down. And you have different grits you can get. I've got a 60 that I put on there. But you've got 100. I mean, you got 280, you got a 600, you got 1200, and there's a lot of others that you can get with the 6-inch. So this is one thing that's available that makes this more versatile, being that you do have a flat lap right here. And now this kit, and some of you are going to ask, and don't ask me prices on any of this. You know, you can go to a website and you can hunt around. But this is from Diamond Pacific. And if you want to write that number down, you know, you can come back through the video and you can find it and do it later. But this kit here is this is what I use when I travel. I really love my flat lap for doing the back of cabs. It really helps out, especially if you've got a piece on a cab that you've trimmed out and it's where the saw breaks off. So you've got that part sticking out there that's going to be extra grinding or something, and getting it completely smooth. So this works real good. Get all your saw marks out. Now that's one of the little beauties to it. Of course, you would put your guard back on. Everything fits up here nice. Your guard will keep your water from splashing out the back, and this will keep it from splashing out the front, in which you would run it from the end. But I'm not going to run it now. That's one. Now there's another attachment that they make for the Genie, and it's a trim saw. Now you can see how easy that comes off. To change these, and we'll go into that in just a minute because we're going to change this over back to the other setup. But there's another attachment. We'll get this stuff out of the way. And this one is actually a trim saw attachment. And this trim saw attachment, you get all these nice little pieces, and you get everything you need. Now, I don't know why I got extra cover in there. It doesn't matter. If you need any information on the saw attachment, this is specifically made for the the Genie. And what it's got is, and I believe, and I didn't measure this. Well, let's just see. I think it was an 8 1/4 inch blade. It might have been an 8 inch, but I think it was an 8 1/4 inch blade. No, it's actually I think it's a 7 5/8 blade. It's not a big saw. I use a thin blade in here because whenever I travel, I don't normally plan that, and it's pretty flexible. It's a thin blade. But when I travel, I'm not intending to cut a lot of big rough because this really isn't set up for it. And now I get more experience at setting this up when I'm traveling. This nylon washer here has to come out because in order to get it enough clearance in there to where it screws in. But this just screws in. You don't have to tighten it with anything. You take and you've got a different cover that goes with this piece. Now this one actually, it locks into the back of your piece here, and I'm going to get it on down there. I'm sure I usually stand over it, but I'm going to try to do this where you might can see something too. And it locks in there and it holds it into place. Now you'd put water in here, you'd fill it up to where you've got whatever you feel like. You don't want to overfill it, but I normally run it up about where it's about 1/2 inch on the blade, or maybe just slightly less. And then you have this piece here that sits inside. Now, I want to tell you, this isn't made for cutting any big rough, and the reason for it is right here on this side, you have this big washer, so you're limited to this front part of the blade. Now, I have cut some pretty good sized rocks as long as they fit up under here, but I've had to so I could get calves, but I'd have to slice them, and then I'd have to turn them sideways and slice off that section. So because there was something I wanted, and being I didn't have anything else with me, that's what I used. But anyway, it sets up like that. Now you have a guide here if you want to cut it at an angle. Now I don't ever trim mine at an angle, but if you was wanting to trim it that way, that's always the possibility. You could just slap it in there, and then you can run your piece around there and trim them at an angle, so you've got part of the material already gone. But like I say, this is one of those things a lot of people don't know about, just like the flat lap, that really makes this machine versatile, because my little workstation here, which I can store all this stuff up underneath it. When I slide my machine in, I fold this up, push the little latch, and latch it down, and like I say, it takes up a 1.5 by 3 foot area, so it's really compact. And a lot of people, the reason why I say that is that you're not necessarily looking for something to travel with, but you're looking for something that's going to fit your needs. Let's see. Yeah, I know, Doug, there's a lot of tool addicts out there, and I hate to even let Cheryl know about anything new, because it seems to be that every time she finds out with something new, you running out of space, and I'm thinking y'all are going to have to move just to get enough room for your all your tools and equipment that she's been adding. Well, normally I'd have an easier time. This had been used in a little bit, and when there's water on the joints, it makes it better too. But it's just that simple to put on, and then whenever you get ready to take it off, it's the same thing. It's just a matter of taking it apart and going. But like I say, for those of you that don't have a lot of room, I'm not going to say that this is the cheapest way to go, but I will say it's a really good way to go. Now, mine, I didn't give but $100 for mine. I got it used, and that's the way I get a lot of my tools. I didn't even think about getting one, and someone had mentioned it because I was looking for a little saw, and I carry my little 4-inch gym saw when I go. It fits in my unit too, but one of our guys here and that's in the club, that's a dealer, he makes the show circuit. He had one, and he made me a deal on it, and that I couldn't refuse, and so that's why I have it. But anyway, and I guess I could plug his sale because he does a sale every year, and it's coming up this Saturday, and I always post it because he buys out a lot of other dealers, old rock hounds. He's been around it for a long time. He buys these people out, and he has tons. And then whenever I say tons, I mean tons. He's probably got, I don't know, a good 50, 60 tons of rough material. Seem like I come back with a few buckets every time I go out there, and I go out there more than just his sale. But he's having it this Saturday, and I'll be out there too. But any of you that's close to Rusk, Texas, I recommend going. I know a lot of people that come in, they drive 300-400 miles so that they can come to this sale. He's got a lot of used equipment, and I've got a lot of used equipment from him. One of my 8-inch cabin machines is one that I picked up from him. And I'm a cheapskate, for those of you that don't know me real well, so I don't give a price anywhere close to a list. So if you're interested in something, I'd say, make the drive, make a weekend trip and go out there, because it'd be well worth it. He's got all kinds of stuff, slabs, rough, and all kinds of equipment and stuff. Anyway, now I've just pulled the nut off the end of here and take these wheels out. Now these are spaced with aluminum spacers, and now whenever I use this machine, like I say, I use it with get these out of the way. I use that with the expandable drums, but now in order to get these expandable drums to work right, you have to have them shimmed in a way that they're going to meet your needs. And so it's not like you can just, and I'm going to put this in. I'm thinking that's where I was. I don't think that's it. I think I rearranged my shims. I might wish that I didn't. I've got another one that's lost now, I guess. No, that ain't it either. I don't believe. Maybe it was. Yeah, it was. Okay. Now I got one of these on backward. But what I want to show you is I use a couple of the shims that come with the original unit, and I make me a shim. I've got a piece. This is just the gray PVC like they use for electrical, and I've just taken a cut-off saw, and I've cut it where it's square on the end, because you can't just take a hacksaw or a handsaw and cut this. It needs to be completely flat. But I've cut it to a length that would work out right, so that whenever I put this together, it left me a gap between, and it's still not right. I've got another I've got to shim out of order now. I got to go back and see where I laid it. But what I do is I shim it to where I get these into place and get this to where it fits onto this machine using the shims that come with it, and whichever ones that I need, I just go ahead and remake them. But whenever I do that, I can run these expandable wheels here, and I can run belts. I'm just going to put this together just for the sake of putting it together. And I have this much softer surface. Even with the factory wheels, it's soft, but it's not as soft as this with the belts. And I have a wider surface. And the main thing for me is, if you watch my video that was earlier, that I did before on lapidary, it makes it easier for me to do hearts. Now you can see this wheel's getting frayed out here, or this belt. So my edge is about gone on it, and I'll have to replace it. But when you lose a wheel, you don't want to spend $75, $100 to replace the wheel. Let's take a look at the comments here and see. Yeah. I know you might as well kiss that man cave goodbye, because I don't think you're going to have it much longer, Doug. Now, we talked about, and I just put that back on for brief deal, but you also have, and I'm going to have to switch back so I make sure that you can actually see what I'm showing you. But you also have a big selection of your polishing laps. Now you can get, this one here is burlap, and this is the soft leather. This one here is a coarse leather. I do have with these are nice and new. I had purchased these before I left on my trip last winter, and then I left them here, so I had to purchase new ones. So these were just still sitting here. But what I want to make sure I touch on, and I try to make this clear on anything that you're polishing, don't switch polishing compounds and say I'm going to polish with aluminum oxide and then turn around and use cerium oxide on the same polishing pad, because you're going to end up where you're going to have a polishing material that's not going to work good on a stone. And your pads, basically, you can wash them a lot of times. You can take a nylon bristle brush or something and run them underwater, and you can clean that off. But take the time to mark the back of your lap with what type of material's on it. Now, and I put mine in a plastic bag. I mean, I have them marked, but I also have them in a plastic bag. I have both of these are cerium. I have a felt one, and I have a smooth leather one. But take the time to keep your stuff together. You know, people don't think about dust, but whenever you start getting out and you get a lot of dust, and say if you're sawing around and you get those fine particles that migrate around your equipment, they're going to get on your pads, and then you're going to be wondering, I'm polishing this soft stuff. I have the right polishing compound. I wonder why it's not polishing. And the reason it's not going to polish is because you have a harder material on here that's abrasive, that's a bigger particle, and it could just be from me touching everything and touching it to my hand. I normally don't do that, but this one here is just setting back. In fact, like I say, I used this before I left, and it was out in the shop, and it was easy to bring out and show. But these fit on the end just the same way as the other. And you would, pick up a spray bottle. Now, this one here, of course, it's about time to remark. It's tin oxide. Just put a little tin oxide powder in there and some water. Now, it'll settle out quicker than some of the others, but when you're going to use it, shake it up. and spray it on there. But make sure each time you spray it that you shake it up, because you can see that it looked nice and clear when we started, or did to me. It might not on the video. And there's still a little powder down there, but make sure you shake it up. And a lot of times it'll settle out. Now I'll put maybe a tablespoon or two in a bottle, and I'll fill it up with water. And a lot of times the bottle will get half full or half empty, or whichever way you want it. And I'll put some more water in it, because that couple of tablespoons goes a long way. So I'm using, I buy super serum oxide to polish a lot of mine. A lot of people use serum oxide. Super serum's a higher grade. It's a lot more expensive. But I purchased mine about 5 years ago, and I've still got more than 3/4 of the pound that I purchased. So don't think that, don't look at price when it comes to the quality of your cabochon that you're going to create. Now, I don't know if there's something else that I wanted to address. I don't know for sure that yes, canvas. That's right. Burlap. I'm glad you're there, Harold, and keep me straight. And if you're confused on what I'm talking about, we're talking about this one here, that this was canvas. It'd be nice if my mind worked as good as it did whenever I was a youngster, but I can tell you it doesn't. And they keep telling me it doesn't get any better, so we'll just stick with it. I'll be glad with what I have. Okay, I'm hoping that somehow all this that I addressed today helps y'all out. I mean, if you're looking for a piece of equipment, and like I say, I'm not trying to do a commercial here for Diamond Pacific. They've been around a long time. They do build a good product. Mine has been modified from the bottom piece of wood. It's nice and pretty. You know, when things wear out, I just rework them and stuff. And mine has a little bit bigger starting capacitor, because I run a lot more weight on the wheels. I do run a fan behind it, which I mentioned before, and I'll mention that again, because I do run extra wheels, and the machines do get hot. And I've felt them even when they're running the regular wheels, when they get hot. I don't think. I mean, they have a motor that doesn't draw air through it, and so that's going to happen. So I cool the outside of the case, and that's something to consider whenever you're working on yours. That working with yours. That if you're going to be making a lot of cabs and you want it to last, get you a little fan. It doesn't take much of a fan to do this. I've got just this little fan sits back here, and it travels with me, and it always stays on this machine. And it's enough to keep it cooled down. If I take this somewhere and I'm going to do a demonstration or something, it's the same way. It'll go with me. But don't think you have to have a big machine. Don't think that this one's not capable of doing, I wouldn't say production work, but when you make a lot of cabs. Because when I traveled this winter, and I didn't make as many cabs as I normally do, but it wasn't because of the machine. It was because there was a lot of other stuff going on in Quartzsite, and I couldn't keep my attention to my work. I was maybe I was just goofing off. But what I'd like to say, if there's anything that you want to know about related to the lapidary end, or the jewelry or the silversmith end, and I can help with it, I'd be glad to try to do a live feed. If there's some of you out there that want some kind of instruction that as far as on that, I can do a live stream as far as making a cab. I know it might get boring to some, because it's kind of hard to get the angle right where you can see it like you'd want to. So I don't get into that. So I guess that's going to do it for today. Uh, let's see, sealing rocks. I can do one talking about sealing rocks, but I can only tell the method. There's so many different methods, and there's a lot of things out there as far as that people use to stabilize lapidary material, and a lot of them don't work good for me. So anyway, but we can consider doing something on that. We did do one particular. I did a live stream back a little while ago about using acrylic to seal the surface of it. So anyway, that'd be another story. But I appreciate everyone for watching, and if there's something you'd like to see one on, let us know. And if you can do one, let us know that too. Have fun.